at this time to make sure that people know that they need to stay in their homes whenever possible. Many county health departments are acting in different ways proactively to contain the crisis. As county health departments act, it creates a regional and a statewide issue where more and more people are going to fewer and fewer stores and retailers and work in fewer and fewer locations, creating a greater public health crisis. We saw a similar issue in our mountain communities where after Alterra and Vail Resorts announced their decision to close, we couldn't have a situation where more and more people were going to fewer and fewer smaller resorts to recreate without creating a public health crisis. Finally, we need time. We need time to build the hospital capacity, acquire the ventilators that we need to save lives. We also are acting to minimize the disruption to jobs and the economy. By acting boldly now, we can limit the duration of this economic crisis. Rather than have to suffer through additional restrictions on workplace and free commerce for a long period of time, we can effectively contain this virus by engaging in these measures now and returning to normal sooner rather than later. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, we're issuing this stay-at-home order to save lives. To save lives. Could be your aunt or your uncle, could be your parent, could be your grandparent, could be your own life that is saved by these strong actions that we are taking now. And by the way, when we're talking about saving lives, we're not talking about 1 or 2 lives. We're talking about thousands of Coloradans' lives, perhaps tens of thousands of Coloradan lives that will be saved by these actions that we are taking today. Now, what does this mean? The stay-at-home order means that individuals should only interact with your own household and only leave your household when you absolutely need to. That means that, of course, the facilities that we need to access are staying open. That means, of course, grocery stores. Just as in Denver, it also means liquor stores. You don't need to rush those. They're staying open throughout this. Restaurants are continuing to deliver and do takeout. It just means that those non-essential stores, many of which have been closed for days, will be closed across our state, as will the workplaces that are not critical for this effort. In order for this effort to be effective, this is going to need to be clear and concise for all Coloradans to obey. Whether you read and contemplate Ecclesiastes, whether you listen to and contemplate Pete Seeger, whether you don't like either of them, or whether you like both of them, or whether you don't even know who either of them are, we all need to obey this public health order. The rule of law is the foundation of our society. This order is now the law. Temporarily and under extreme circumstances and without any pleasure on my behalf for enacting it, it's the step that we need to take because it is the season for staying at home to save lives. Coloradans, of course, can leave their homes for activities that you need to live by. That means obtaining food, household necessities, going to and from work if you're an essential employee, seeking medical care, caring for dependents, family members, pets, caring for a vulnerable person in another location. And again, I encourage you to contact vulnerable people you know, because we are also, as we did several days ago and last week, requesting that all Coloradans who are vulnerable, Coloradans in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, those who have respiratory issues, please stay at home at all times unless you are seeking medical care. And again, that means that if you know people in your community that meet that criteria, please offer to shop for them, leave the groceries at the doorstep, and do what they need so that they can remain isolated. They are at higher risk, but to be clear, we are all at risk from this virus. Over 7,000 Italians of all stripes of society, from famous, wealthy Italians to day laborers to the very young to the very old, have all fallen victim to this virus, and we can't allow thousands of Coloradans to meet the same fate. Generations ago, Our forefathers made great sacrifices, the greatest generation on the beaches of Normandy, Iwo Jima. 4 mothers